Hello, welcome to this week's edition of KEVWESPEAKS. Today we'll be looking at a very important topic: employer branding, a vital tool for business growth. A lot of successful businesses give their customers two things. One, something they can't live without. Two, something they can't get elsewhere. Branding is about shaping customers' perceptions so that these two criteria are met. But a lot of successful businesses don't get to where they are with just these two things. There is a third ingredient that must be added for you to be able to have a successful business, and that is what we want to look at today. And that is the quality of staff you have in your workforce. These are the talents that make this happen. For an organization to be able to move from point A to point B, you need some set of persons, dedicated persons that need to put in their talents for you to be able to satisfy your customers. In this part of the world, a lot of us are business owners, see our employees as simply tools. We feel that we can go into the labor market, employ raw talents that will come help us fulfill our organizational goals and objectives. And at the end of the day, we place a price tag on them in the form of the paycheck or the salary they get at the end of the month. Therefore, if you must scale your business, if you must grow, if you must be able to attain success in your business, you must understand that the employees in your organization, they are not tools. What is employer branding? Employer branding is the process of shaping how an organization is perceived by the employee in the organization and potential employee that will want to work in that organization. And this is key for any organization. Because you must understand, you remember in our last topic when we were discussing about people that need to experience a brand, we talked about the employee of the organization, we talked about the customers that patronizes you, and we talked about the investors that want to put in their money to help you grow your business. Now, the employee is a very vital tool to the growth of any organization. A strong employee brand is inspired simply by the internal culture of the organization or the internal culture of the brand. Now, I want to ask a question. Now, what is the internal culture of your organization? Is the workplace purposeful? Is it inspiring? Is it conducive enough for somebody to be able to dedicate more than 40 hours of their life weekly? I mean, 40 hours of their life weekly, just for them to be able to contribute their quota to helping you. Look at the term, I'm very intentional in using the word, helping you achieve your purpose. Because you understand that the purpose for the organization is simply you. You are the business owner. So the question is this: are you creating an environment that is respectful? Are you creating an environment that is purpose-driven? Are you creating an environment that is result-oriented? Are you creating an environment that is conducive? That's the question you must ask, because everyone, as business owner, we benefit a lot when we are able to uphold employer branding. Yes, I repeat, we tend to benefit more, not even the staff now, not even the employee. Business owners tend to benefit more when they are able to uphold a strong employer branding. Now let's move straight to the next point. What should you consider when building an employer brand? Salaries and benefits are key attributes that should be considered. But beyond salary and the paycheck, beyond salary, beyond the benefits that is available in your organization that you need to give to your personnel, because that's where we get it wrong as employers of labor. We feel that, come on, I pay well in my organization, because when you ask a business owner that comes to complain to you that they're having issues with their workforce, what they tell you, the first thing they tell you that, I don't know what is wrong with these guys, I pay well, but my staff are not motivated. Yes, you must understand that beyond the paycheck, beyond the salary that you pay your employees, beyond the paycheck, beyond the benefits, beyond those things, beyond the funds that you give to your staff, there are other things that you need to put in place for you to be able to build a strong employee brand. Yes, build a strong employee brand. First, the work environment. The work environment. I've been to some places, some work environments. I wonder, as a visitor, I can't even stay in that place for 1 hour. You said the place is not well lighted. There is no good air conditioning. People, your staff, they are not proud enough to say, this is where I work. They are not comfortable enough to come to the office. And let me tell you this, you discover that your staff, they spend more time in your workplace than they spend in their houses. So if their houses where they sleep at night, where they spend less hours, is more conducive than their workplace, then there is an issue. They will not be motivated to come to the workplace to work in the morning. So you must do well to ensure that the environment where your staff, the work, is conducive. Conducive enough, you must put what we call best industry practice. Yes, best industry practice. If this is the standard of the environment where people work in the industry, ensure that you meet up to standard. Ensure that there's good lighting. Ensure that there's air conditioning. Ensure. I've been to some places, some workplace. I'll get there. I want to patronize them. I'll get there. There's no light. Everywhere is dark. So you ask them. You say, we are waiting for the power company to restore power. And the staff, you see them, they are sleeping, waiting for the power company to restore power. I say, come on, this is not the conducive work environment for your employee. Or some places you get to, they will tell you that if there's no customer, they should turn off the gen. I don't know if you have had that kind of experience before. They'll tell you that if there's no customer, turn off the gen. But when customer comes, you can turn on the gen and turn on the AC, which means that in that organization, the business owner is prioritizing the customer more than the employee. Because if there's no customer, you must understand that in this equation, the employee is as important as the customer. That means that what you are saying in essence is this, that come on, don't claim my employee feel. What is more important to me is my customer, because they are the one that gives me the money. But what about the one that does the job that brings in the money? So what they do most times is that they'll tell you that it's only when customers come that you turn on the AC. It's only when customer comes you turn on the gen. If there's no customer, don't turn on the AC, don't turn on the gen. And you discover that throughout the day, the employee is there, the place is dark, the place is hot. It's not conducive for them. They see that sometimes their phone runs down. They have to wait till when they get home for them to charge their phone and start making use of it. In that kind of environment, you can't get the best from your staff. You must create a conducive environment. Conducive environment. In short, your workplace will even be more conducive than the houses where your employees are coming from, because they spend more time in the workplace than in their houses. Now, another thing again you must consider is that there must be a defined career path. Yes, defined career path. I'm in this organization. I started working here this year. In the next 5 years, where am I expecting to get to in the hierarchy? Where am I expecting to get to? But you discover that in most organizations, there is no defined career path for their employee. They just walk in there. All they do is that maybe after you put in like 3 years, 4 years, a little money is added to your paycheck, and that is, they call it promotion. There's different between promotion and salary increment. I'm not going to go into that today. Maybe in a subsequent delivery, I will explain the difference between promotion and increase in paycheck. But what we'll do most times is that we'll just increase the paycheck of the employee, and we'll feel that we have promoted the employee. No, there must be a defined career path. Your employee should be able to know that this, if I put in this work, if I put in this time, if I put in this number of years, this is where I should get to. So when it is clear, when there's clarity, you discover that the staff will be able to put in what they need to put in for them to be able to get to where they aspire to get to. You must develop leadership training. In short, every member of your organization should be a potential leader. They should not be seen as a low-level staff. They should be not seen like a low-level staff, a high-level staff in your organization. Every member of staff should be trained as a potential leader. There should be paid education. When I mean paid education, there should be training program. There should be training and retraining of your workforce. Now, you cannot scold a child that you have not given an appropriate training. Before you scold anybody, you must ensure you give out instruction. Now, the instruction I'm talking of here, I'm talking about training. You can't say your staff, they are not performing optimally if you have not given them the required training they deserve. And you must understand one thing, that the knowledge of yesterday might not fit into, especially in this changing world where things change overnight. You discover that the knowledge that your employee they acquired yesterday might not fit into the system of today. So you must constantly create a training program where you would update the knowledge base of your staff. Yes, a constant training program for your staff. You discover most times they want to remain because they know that they have a lot that they are learning. Now, you don't even, as a business owner, you don't even have to be the person that will be training them. No, create a system where you can bring in resource persons from outside to come into your organization to train. And one thing this does is that it motivates, it stirs up your staff. After every training, you discover that they want to implement what they have learned so far. So for you to be able to build a strong employer brand, ensure you create a very strong and systematic training program in your organization that will enable your staff to be able to add to their knowledge base. Every brand is unique, so there is no set of formulas that you need to put in place for you to be able to create a strong employee brand. Yes, there's no formula, no set of formula, because this largely depends on your larger brand strategy. Yes, so it's your larger brand strategy that will enable you to be able to define the kind of employer brand that you have for your brand. Now, but I'm going to give us 4 basic things you need to put in place for you to be able to create a strong, just four basic things you need to put in place for you to be able to create a strong employer brand. Number 1, understand your company. You need to go back and revisit your brand compass. You need to go back and check and revisit the purpose, the mission, the vision, and the values of your company. You need to ask yourself this question: the objective of my company, does it still align with the values of my company? Because that will enable you to know the kind of staff that you're going to employ in your organization. And more importantly, do you have the talent in place? Do you have the staff in place that will enable you deliver on this objective or these promises? Number 2, you need to audit your employer brand. How is your brand perceived in the labor market? Now, I hate when I hear employer tell me that employee is like soldier. Soldier go, soldier come, barrack remain. Now, how is your organization perceived in the labor market? Is it a barrack where soldiers come and the soldiers go? Or your organization is a place where people aspire to want to work? That's a question you must ask yourself. So you must go and do an audit on your employer brand and ask, how is my organization perceived in the labor market? Remember, branding is about perception. Yes, perception. So in the labor market, how is my brand perceived? You need to do a very strong audit on it. Do a strong audit on the perception of your brand in the labor market as it relates to employees staying or leaving. You need to conduct both internal and external research. It's good for you to do an internal one. The staff that you have right there in your organization, you ask them simple questions. Come on, how do you perceive? How's the work environment? What do you think we should put in place? What do you think? What motivates you more? What is this that is keeping you back in this organization? And one thing again you need to do is this. You need to reach out for employees that are no longer in your organization. Ask them this question: while you were here, what is it that you would have loved us to do differently? And if given an opportunity, would you want to come back to work in this place if we put so and so in place? So do this audit on your employer brand. You'll be shocked with the kind of responses you will get, and these responses will enable you to be able to position. This response will enable you create a very strong employer brand. Number 3, define your employee value proposition. You see, remember we discussed in our last topic, we spent time to discuss competitive advantage, where we're talking about a unique value proposition for an organization. But this time we're relating it to the customer. But this time we are talking about employee value proposition. You must be able to define your employee EVP. Yeah, I'm going to use the short form. Now I'm going to use the short form EVP. Define your employee value proposition. You must be able to create something. Now, your employee value proposition is aimed directly at your employee. Why your organization is perceived as a great place to work. Why people will want to remain in your organization. You must be able to create that story. Remember, we said when it comes to branding, we're talking about creating a story and making people believe that story. And remember, we said something about brand promise. It is not just creating a story, but creating a story. Make sure the story is real. Make sure the story is correct. Because you have an issue when you create a story that is false. So when they now come to experience the brand based on the story you've been able to create, and they get disappointed, you will discover at the end of the day you have so many dissatisfied customer or dissatisfied employees. So creating a story now, you must be able to create a story now. As when we are talking about employee value proposition, you must be able to create a story that you will sell to employee, to let them know why they need to choose your place as the right place to work. Yes, the right place to work. Before now, I'm going to use this word. Before now, as a young graduate the banking industry is one thing, in one area a lot of us aspire to work. Not even as a full staff, as an intern, you want to work in the banking industry. But I feel that the story has changed over time. Nobody is, okay, now, a lot of persons don't want to work in the banking industry now. Why? Because the story changed. Why? Because the perception of employee towards the banking industry changed. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to push out to you. The perception of employee towards the banking industry or the banking job changed. Lastly, build employee engagement. Your employee, please let me, this must stick. Your employee, they are the lifeblood of your organization. Just imagine, you wake up in the morning, you get into your office, and no member of staff is available at work. Yes, no member of staff is available at work, just you. I'm trying to do a scenario planning for you. You wake up in the morning, because you must do this. You wake up in the morning, you've been able to do, you've done a lot of adverts. You've done a lot of publicity. Your brand is now visible worldwide. You wake up in the morning, you get into your place of work. We have a lot of customers outside. The office is locked. You open the office, get into the office. There is no member of staff to attend to your customer. I want to ask you a question. Will there be business for that day? No, there will be no business. Why? Because the employee is as important as the customer. So why the customer is the king? Now this is what you're going to take home today. Why the customer is the king? The employee is the kingmaker. Which means that there is no customer engagement without your employee. You must be able to build employee engagement in your organization or in your company. You must know that the employee, they are the lifeblood of your business. Without them, you are not in business. So the same attention that you are giving to your customer, give that same attention to your employee, because without them, you are not in business. Wow, this is how far we can go. I really wish we have enough time for us to be able to dwell on this, how you need to be able to give priority to your employee in your organization. You discover that once you're able to get this right, it will be very seamless for you to run your organization, and you will position yourself for profitability. But when you get this wrong, you discover at the end of the day, you might not be able to scale your business. But the takeaway from this teaching today is, it is difficult, yes, to get the right staff for your business, especially in this part of the world. But you must understand that as an organization, you must invest in employee branding. Yes, invest in employee branding. And once you're able to get your employer brand right, then everything will fall into place. Until I come your way next week with another episode of KEVWESPEAKS, do well to share this video across all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even your WhatsApp status. You might just be helping a young entrepreneur to scale his or her business. I am KEVWESPEAKS, and I am a brand.